Well, good afternoon and welcome to MedTech Crossroads, this special edition live at the MedHealth Mixer. I want to, I'm thankful for our friends Kristen and James who are behind the scenes making this all happen for us, and thankful to MedHealth for making the day happen. I'm very thankful for the process. I've got two wonderful guests today. My first guest is Deborah Livna, who is the entrepreneur in residence at WeTech Alliance, and she's the interim executive director with WECAN Investors in Windsor, Ontario. She's also a former co-founder of a medical device company. Deborah, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
We can see you. We're going to stop this thing there so we can both be on the screen together.
Yeah.
Deborah, thanks for being with us. I hope you're enjoying the day here that's been put together.
Fantastic. So far, I had so many meetings with amazing entrepreneurs. So it's been fantastic so far.
That's so cool. Well, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about both WeTech Alliance and also WeCan Investors. I think a lot of people aren't familiar with the landscape in southwestern Ontario, what's happening there. So it might be worthwhile taking a little bit of a step back so folks understand what the ecosystem looks like there. And we're so excited for this cross-border initiative that we have in MedHealth. But give us a little bit of an understanding as to what's happening in the local ecosystem there in southwestern Ontario.
So WeTech Alliance is the Regional Innovation Center in Windsor, Essex, and it covers Windsor, Essex, and Chatham-Kent area, where we help entrepreneurs accelerate to market. We have venture services programs, assistance and support to startup on all stages. So we've been around for almost 10 years. We're just getting into our 10th year soon. And we have connections with agency, and we connect the entrepreneurs to the resources, or we provide our own training and so forth. And we're also sponsoring this event. So go to our, we're a silver sponsor, go to our site and look for more information about WeTech Alliance and how you, if you're Canadian, if you're Ontario residents, how you can get connected and get more services.
That's awesome. And I know you guys, like many folks who do acceleration and incubation type things, funding becomes a question there. Tell us how WeCan Investors is affiliated here, or a little bit about that entity.
Okay. So my passion is to help young companies in the medtech sector accelerate their time to market, commercialize, and to do that, they need funding. And as such, I'm serving a part in WECAN Investor. This is an angel investor group that's located in Windsor. And we recently, just a few months ago, we partnered with Equation Angel Investors, which is a partnership with 4 different angel groups in southwestern Ontario. It's Windsor, Essex, Chatham, London, Waterloo, Kitchener-Waterloo, Oakville, Burlington, and I'm not sure if I mentioned London, Ontario. So we have over 100 angel investors on the group. We have now virtual meetings every month, and we can have 70, 80 investors on one pitch. So it provides great benefit to the startup who pitch to so many investors. It's also provide benefit to our investors because we have robust pipeline of innovative early stage companies.
That's really cool. And I understand you guys are not focused necessarily on investing in U.S. companies. You're focused reasonably on investing in Windsor companies, or in Ontario companies. But I think something you pointed out to me earlier is that you do have this cross-borderness nevertheless, because oftentimes one of the markets you guys are going after, or your companies are going after, can be that U.S. market. So tell us a little bit about what the deal flow tends to look like. What are the target companies that you're looking for, especially when it comes to MedTech?
Okay, so we, as most angel groups, we mostly invest in local companies, in Ontario companies. However, sometimes there will be time, like in October, we have one company from the US.
Mm.
But almost all our portfolio companies like to expand into the US. And as such, they need the connection into the US. So one of the promises of the cluster to work with Southwestern Ontario with Michigan was innovative company can set foot in Detroit in order to get to the US. They don't have to travel to San Francisco, to New York. And as such, Windsor and WETAC and WECAN, we are the gateway to United States to a lot of the portfolio companies because we have the connections. And that brings me to a passion that I have. When we talked about the MedHealth innovation cluster to build it up in Windsor, we realized we need to really work with Michigan and Detroit. And right now, this allows Canadian startup companies, today, the MedHealth matchmaking mixer allow Canadian companies that otherwise would never have access to American hospitals. They can talk to Beaumont Hospital, to Henry Ford Hospital. They can talk to Into Being, to talk to Gene of how to commercialize, how to get FDA approval. And they can also talk to Transform, shared service organization in the Southwestern Ontario, or talk to Green Shield. They're all located here, and we even have a Mars IAF here today participating. So they can connect with hospitals in Ontario or in Michigan. And that's an amazing opportunity for young companies to accelerate their time to market.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal resource, and I think it's largely an untapped one, and one of the cool things that MedHealth is trying to do. And I know you and I are both on the steering committee and really have a passion for that. And it's fun to see when those links get made and people go, "Oh wait, that resource is right there. I could just go across." Tell me a little bit about the profile of your investors, and I think you are looking to recruit new investors as well as companies. But tell us a little bit more about your investor profile and who you're looking to recruit on that end.
So we're looking for investors who are interested to invest in young companies, who are accredited investors. They can do it. We're looking for people who are the billionaires don't invest in young companies as much at this stage. We're looking for people who are successful entrepreneurs on their own, and they're looking to expand into new innovation. Right now, health innovation is really hot because of the pandemic going around in the world. So they're more and more looking for this area of investment. It is complex, as you know, Jean. It has its complication. You need to have patience. You need to have the expertise. So we have more and more investors with those expertise, but a lot of them in the Windsor area are more in manufacturing. And we like to invest in innovation in manufacturing, even healthcare manufacturing or MedTech manufacturing. So we're looking to recruit investors in our region to be willing to be open up to new innovation. And when they fund the early stage companies, they help them with their advice, with their connections, and it's benefiting the region.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, now you're no stranger to early stage companies. You yourself did a MedTech startup, which you exited. We were going to start here actually, but tell me just a little bit about the kinds of lessons that you take away from experiences like that in your role, both as a mentor and also leading this WECAN investors.
Well, investing in this type of sector is somewhat more complex because of the regulatory environment. You have to have the science, you have to have the FDA approval or Health Canada approval. In case of MedTech companies in Canada, they have to have both. If they want to operate in Canada and expand to the US, they also have two different healthcare systems to tap on. So what I learned is, as investors, you have to understand the market, you have to have the expertise or recruit the expertise, and you have to have the patience. So lesson learned for the startup, You got to know you need a lot of funding in order to get to your goal and get to the market.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I want to open up to our audience for questions and to see if there's any questions from our live audience for Deborah, either on WETech Alliance in Southwestern Ontario, or WECAN investors, and whether from the company or investment side. We would take any questions you have for Deborah right now. While we're waiting for any of those to come in, how have you been finding, Deborah, the whole balance of doing things? It used to be so easy just to, pop across the border or whatever for Canadians or Americans to go back and forth, and obviously all of that's changed. How has that been affecting you and the companies you see and the investors you see and the community as a whole? What's happening?
Well, I'll start with my personal story. I'm married to an American who lives in Michigan, and it has been a little challenging at the beginning of the pandemic to be together, but we solved that problem. It's all good. I think that working remotely has accelerated remote health too, but it also has taught a lot of startups to work remotely, and also to pivot to the current need rather than the need of the past. So my experience has been that entrepreneurs, better than anybody else, they can navigate into the new area that they need to be in.
Yeah, we've certainly noticed that. It takes a lot more process and communication to work remotely. And that might be a hidden blessing in there, in the sense that we're now forced to work through those communication processes and learn new ways of doing things. Well, this is great. Deborah, is there anything else that you'd like us to know about WETech Alliance or WECAN investors that you think we didn't cover today?
Well, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. If you like to, if you're an entrepreneur looking for services in Windsor, Essex, contact Yvonne Pilon, the CEO, or Adam Castle, the manager of venture services. And we are happy to provide the support that you need in order to grow your business. And again, thank you, Jean, for providing me with the opportunity to talk to everyone.
Well, thank you, Deborah, and thank you for your leadership with MedHealth and your investing in this event, and for all that you're doing for entrepreneurs in the region. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Great. Oh, we did get a question there. We're going to step out of turn here. Can I bring you back for just a minute, Deborah? I'm sorry to do this.
Sure.
Most unprofessional on my part, but we did just get a question. I didn't want to miss it. The question was, I'm a startup based in Los Angeles. Should I pursue chatting with WETech? What's the answer you'd give somebody in that situation?
Well, we are funded by our Ontario government, so we mostly like to help Ontario companies. If you want to set foot in Ontario, you will find there's a lot of funding by the government to Ontario companies, but you would have to have a location in Ontario to do that. And we welcome people from Los Angeles to come to us.
And is there a role that WETech could play in putting even an American company in touch with other Canadian companies that they might want to do business with?
Absolutely. We'll have to connect, and our Windsor Essex Development Commission will help. So yeah, we have resources to do that. So
that's great.
By all means, connect with us and it will help you out.
Thank you, Deborah. Really appreciate it. Matthew, thank you for the question. And once again, Deborah, thanks for being with us. Next up, I want to welcome David Weaver from Cityside Ventures and Birmingham Angels. He's the Chief Investment Officer for both those entities. David, we'd like to welcome you live. MedTech Crossroads Special Edition at the MedHealth Mixer with David Weaver.
Thanks,
David,
Gene.
how's it going? Good to see you.
Glad to be here. Great. Doing well.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Hey, so I meant to start here with Deborah, and we did get to it at the end, but I'd like to know a little bit more, because you and I have worked together on any number of projects and gotten to know each other over the years. And I'd love for you to give just a little bit of that background to folks before we start talking about Cityside and Birmingham. And also just let us know, like, what is your passion? You got this community here, you've got all these people gathered to talk about MedTech and MedHealth. What do they need to know? What do they need to know from your years of experience in this field?
Okay, well, I'm a native Michigander, Um, More than 35 years of my career have been in the life sciences. Most of that time, medical device type technology, but also in critical care and interventional radiology and cardiology and so on. So I've worked with just about every specialty there is and physician-wise. And the first part of my career was with J&J in the Boston area with a company there. And I was in town when Boston Scientific got started. And some of my colleagues joined Boston Scientific early on, early members in the company. I left at that time to do a turnaround for a division of Warner Lambert Pfizer in the West Coast, which I did. So I've done a number of different turnarounds in the medical space. I've been CEO of a couple of different startup companies, helped raise money for them. I've been through angel round, a venture round, and an IPO as an officer of a company. So I know what all those things are. I know how painful it is to raise money and wait a long time to find out it's no, or if it's yes. Why did you take so darn long? Because I'm running out of cash. So I understand the pains there. I started Great Lakes Angels, the first group in Michigan in 2002. A couple of years later, the Angel Capital Association got formed. I'm a charter member of that organization. A little bit later than that, the Michigan Angel Venture Capital Association got formed. I'm a charter member of that. I'm a charter member of the MIT Enterprise Forum that got started here in Michigan. So my passion's always been with early stage companies. And having been in it myself and knowing that innovation comes from new startups and stuff like that, and medicine is an evolving technology, I'm always anxious to be in the leading edge of helping bring new patient care technology to the hospitals and to the world, and love the space. For Deborah's sake, my wife is Canadian. She's from the Sioux, and we have relatives in Windsor on her side. And so I know that. Matter of fact, early on in the 2000s, I was the first angel group in the country to do cross-border deals. We'd meet with the consulate general in their home in Grosse Pointe at that time and have cross-border deals between Ontario and Michigan and do stuff. So we're looking for deal flow. It doesn't have to be Michigan, primarily Michigan, but we'll look at that deal in LA or Ontario. We're looking for deals that make sense for our investors and help advance technology. And life science is my personal passion.
That's awesome. And you guys, Cityside manages Birmingham Angels, and you guys meet monthly for with your investors.
Yeah, we just started Birmingham Angels in September last year. We've in about 6 months' time, we had 30 different companies present, and we funded 12. So we're doing pretty good. 1 out of 3, at least, gets funded every time they present to us. So that's pretty good for an early stage startup group. And then this month, we're also going to start kicking off fundraising for the Great Lakes Angels Fund, $10 million fund that will do same kind of deals, early stage, pre-revenue, proof of concept funding. That's where the pain is. That's where the companies need help. So we want to do that with the fund and with the angel group. Now, you guys put a link on the chat box for how companies can approach us if they're interested in getting to us. We have this platform called Side Pitch that really makes it easy for syndicating deals and sharing deals and closing deals. Most of our deals have closed within inside of 60 days after they pitch us, which is remarkable. So we want to keep that kind of track record.
Tell us a little bit more about Side Pitch. What is this platform?
Well, a lot of people may have heard of Gust or other things like that, or Proceeder and stuff like that. This is a platform that we helped design ourselves even before I joined Cityside. Duran York, he developed this platform, and it's a whole deal venture management system where it intakes the companies, asks a lot of questions of them that they don't think about, like cap tables and debt structure and more about execution, stuff like that. So it captures everything in one place. And it also is good for us for doing the screening. If we want to bring in subject matter experts to look at something, we can add them in to look at that deal only. It's password protected just for the members of Birmingham Angels, unless we invite somebody outside to look at it. Once a company has their information in there, they can then share it with other people that they might want to bring in to be an investor to look at the deal. And it's very thorough. A lot of companies look at this and say, oh, this is a lot. You go, yeah, you want us to make a quick decision, save a lot of time by filling all this out now. We don't have to go 6 weeks trying to collect things from you and then finally decide, to move ahead. So it's a great process. We're trying to get and encouraging a lot of the angel groups throughout the state of Michigan to use the same platform so we can all syndicate deals much faster. I'm glad to share it with Ontario. I know we've been talking to Colin McKillop right now about trying to get things going in Windsor with that. He used to run the WECAN before. I'd like to talk to Deborah about it and share it with you and see if you guys would like to use it with all the groups in Ontario.
That's really commendable, and it's really cool because we just had Jen Baird on the show a few weeks ago, who of course Accurate Cytometer is fifth eye, and she was saying, the fail fast process when it comes to investors, oftentimes there's not that, I don't necessarily want to use the word courtesy, but the speed on the investor's side, it can be this sort of delayed along thing. It's really commendable to see you guys putting something out there that says we're going to get this as quick as we can.
If you see something that looks really good and you say, well, they're not ready yet, you put them on a watch list, go back to the company and tell them these are things you need to work on. When that's done, come back to us and pick it up. And that document you create inside pitch can stay alive. So when you raise other rounds of funding, you can keep this document live and keep it current for every investor you go to.
That's very cool. Tell us a little bit about what kind of companies you're looking for. Where are they in their process? Who should be coming to Cityside and Birmingham Angels?
Well, I talked with some today that were very encouraging. They're so far they've been device type companies, which is my passion. I identify with that. But in one case, they weren't even sure what kind of offering they were going to have. They hadn't got to that stage yet. Were they going to do a price round or a convertible note? Did they understand the difference? They're thinking about doing a safe. We do not like to do safes. We won't do safes. They seem to be popular in the West Coast. Some other groups are doing them, but the ability of protection for the investor is not there with a safe versus a convertible debt. So we'd rather have a debt on the cap table than somebody on a promissory with a safe. And we like to see caps and stuff like that. So we will look at companies that have no revenue yet, but really have a strong proof of concept and demonstrate there's some market interest in it. They thorough research the market. They put some kind of barriers in place for being copied. Either as patent, trade secret, algorithms, whatever it is that helps protect themselves from going to market. And we like companies that are in a space where there's gorillas out there. They want to acquire them later when they get traction in the marketplace. And hopefully they're not trained. First round shouldn't be like a $5 million round. That's not an angel round. Anything above $1.5 million starts getting riskier for angels to do because most of them cannot do it all by themselves. So they have to share it with somebody. And it gets to be too large. You don't want to be first one in and think they still have $1.5 million to go. What's going to happen to all your money? And if they don't make it, it's lost. So, if you're an angel, if you're a startup company, raise like $1 million, $1.5 million and have part of it done early when you start going out. Or line up people soft circle that, yes, they'll come in if this other person comes in type of thing.
Such great advice, such great advice. I want to ask our audience if you got any questions for David Weaver here. He's had, my goodness, years of this process, founding member of so many of the venture capital agencies around the place, chief investment officer of Cityside Ventures and Birmingham Angels. If you got any questions, I'd love for you to type those in or pass them on to our fabulous team behind the scenes, James and Kristen here on MedTech Crossroads at the MedHealth Mixer. David, while we're waiting for those, I wonder if there's one message you could put out there for and you deal with, bless you, you deal with early stage investments. Like this is a hard place to be. And like you said, it's a fascinating place to be. If there's one thing you could tell every early stage company, just one bit of advice, one pithy bit of advice, what would you tell them?
Remember, the investors are there to make a profit. They're not altruistic. This is not a foundation. We want to make money. So when you come to us, have a plan on how we're going to make money. We want you to make money yourselves. That means we're making money. So so many times people are so enamored with the technology and the problem they're solving that they forget to talk about how they're going to make money on this deal or Well, we think that we can sell, 1,000 of these units in the first year. Well, tell me how that's going to happen. A lot of companies break down in the execution. They got a great idea, but no one's ever thought about how to do a unit forecast, dollar forecast, how to set up distribution channels and stuff like that. We want to know how you're going to execute, how you're going to make money.
How are you going to do it? We've got one question here from Matthew Wolf, and then I want to go to a quick panel with you and Deborah, some mutual questions about US and Canada. Matthew Wolf asks, a great question on stage. Thank you, Gene. What is their average check size? Is that something you guys can share, what an average check size is from CSV or Birmingham Angels?
Yeah, as a group has grown, the check size get larger because we've been doing special purpose vehicles, SPVs we call them. That's where you put together an LLC for making the investment, so it's one name on the cap table. In that case, the company might be raising, let's say, 150K or something like that, but our group is only going to do 100. Well, not everybody's going to write a check for 25 or 50 in the deal, but they come in 10, 15 or something like that. We roll them together into one investment to get to that level and do as much as we can with that. Some cases we have one check written by a single individual in one deal, and he's the only person in the deal at 100K. So every deal is different, whether it's a single or 2 or 3 people going directly to the company or where they put this SPV in place. I'd say the average deal is probably between 75 and 100K.
Great.
But
No,
again,
that's great.
It changes.
That's great. Well, David, as an end to this session, I want to thank you for being here representing Cityside Ventures and Birmingham Angels, but I'd like for you to stay on the line because we had a question come in, and we've got Deborah Livna back, which I think is fascinating, especially because this is being done at MedHealth, which is a cross-border initiative between Southeast Michigan and Southwestern Ontario. And so the question for both of you, I'm going to give you about 45 seconds each to answer this, and this is from Kyle McLeod. What do you think are the biggest opportunities in MedTech for both Canada and the US? Curious to hear the perspectives of people on both sides of the border. We'll start with David.
Oh. Okay. The biggest opportunity
in MedTech as it comes to US and Canada.
Yeah. I don't think there's a big difference. I think it's really addressing the ability to manage patient data collected, whether it's wirelessly, remotely, or whatever, and get it for physician care to the right entity as soon as possible. Work with it. I think a lot of stuff is happening now that's going to allow continuous care monitoring at home that wasn't available before. And that's going to be a big breakthrough for patient care and savings costs to the providers and to the hospitals. I'm glad to see that coming.
Yeah, good comment. Deborah, over to you.
So the question, hi Kyle. The question is what the difference or what the biggest
opportunities in MedTech for both Canada and the US? So it might be one or both, or how do you view that?
Okay. So the big opportunity is digitizing the healthcare system and cut costs. And I think it's in both countries. We have different systems. In Canada, they'll provide a little more support with the piloting and the trial is initially, but the US is a bigger market. So Canadian companies want to get to the US for the big market. I think the biggest trend that we have now in Ontario is digitizing our healthcare system. We cannot have the high cost of in-person delivery of healthcare. So this is something that I think both sides of the border is dealing with.
Yeah, that's great. And you both gave sort of similar answers, which is not that much difference. And these things are very, very much in common. Well, I want to thank you both for being here with us today. Deborah and David, thank you so much for being with us. And I want to thank MedHealth and all our team behind the scenes, Kristen and James. Round of applause to them for working through everything today. I want to thank each of you for being here. And just a reminder, you can tune in every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern for MedTech Crossroads, where we have these kinds of conversations, as well as FDA education and just a chance for the community to connect. And now we get to do that all very remotely. So wherever you're tuning in from, Have a great day, and thanks for being with us.